Let's take a look at an HTML example. And then later on you can make a template so you don't have to start from scratch every time you want to make a new HTML document, a new web page. So the first line to any web standards compliant web page is the doc type. And the doc type just tells the browser what version of HTML we're using. Some older versions of HTML had doc types that look like this. First one is for HTML4, second one is XHTML. Luckily with HTML5 we can use the simple one at the bottom. Then right under it we have the open and close HTML tags. That tells the browser that everything in between these opening and closing tags is going to be HTML code. And notice I've got a language attribute equals N. That tells the browser that the contents of this page are going to be in English. If you ever done a Google search, an advanced search, you can actually search for different languages for web pages. And of course you can put in French or Italian, Spanish, Japanese, but we're going to put English for this. And then we have the head. So everything between the open and close head tags are information about the web page that typically don't show up in the actual web page in the browser. So some examples is the meta element. Meta element's a little strange. Notice it doesn't have a closing tag. So what's called a self-closing element. And it's got a space and a slash at the end of it. Now what the meta is being used for is for the character set. And it equals UTF-8. Now what that means in plain English is, let's say that you want to use any kind of international symbol or accent on your web page. This is what it would look like when you open it. Just looks like a bunch of garbage because the browser doesn't understand it. When you use the character set UTF-8, it understands, oh, that's El Nino, so an Enye, or Cafe, or Chloe, and just international accents, symbols that it might run across. So it's a good idea to always add that character set. Then under it we have a title, and that's the title of the web page. And it's something that's often overlooked, but it's really important. Every page should have its own unique title, because the title is what's going to show up at the top of the browser, and it's going to show up on the tabs. And if somebody wants to bookmark a page, that's what's going to show up as well. So make sure your titles are descriptive of what the page is actually going to be about, and make sure that each page has its own title. And next we have the body tags. So everything between the opening and closing body tags are what's going to show up in the actual browser window. And that's where we have our HTML. Like here we've got a level 1 heading, and then we have a paragraph. So since it's in the body, that's what's going to show up in the browser window. So every web page you ever create are going to have these, at least these bare minimum tags inside of it. So it's a good idea to make a template, and then later on you can reuse it. So go ahead and make sure you have your own version of this. Type all of this in Text Wrangler. Pause the video, and then open it in a browser and see if it actually works. If not, go back in, fix your errors. Alright, so let's assume that you did that. Let's take a look at my version of it. So if I jump back to Text Wrangler, this is my template. And I would name it something like template.html. Got everything we just talked about. Start with the doc type. Got the HTML. And notice I have things tabbed over. So I've got the head tabbed over once. In other words, I indented it by clicking the tab button. And then I tabbed the meta element twice. So I can make sure it's real easy to see that the meta and actually the title as well are inside of the head. Same thing with the body. I can tell that the level 1 heading and the paragraph are both inside the body. So if I jump back to Finder and see this is my file, I can open it in a browser by right-clicking and open with, or I could just actually drag it into the dock. And there's Google Chrome. And there's my web page. So there's not much to it, but it should at least have that heading and the paragraph, and then the title at the top.